So on my YouTube channel, I like to do a whole load of tips, tricks and tutorials, and in those videos I go from scratch so you can follow along with me. But under every single video, I seem to get the same comment: can I get a download? So whether it's a preset or a template that I'm developing, some people just want the download, they don't want to follow along. Now, if you're one of those people who want to download those presets, those templates, I've got some great news for you, because I've just launched a brand new place where you can download all of that stuff. And I'm launching it today with 3 brand new presets for Ableton. So in this video today, I'm going to show you 3 brand new Ableton effects racks that I've made myself that I find really useful. And stick around for the end of this video because I'm going to show you how you can get your hands on them. So let's jump into Ableton and I'll show you exactly how they work. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? We've actually got 3 different effects racks within here, 2 audio effects racks and a MIDI effect rack. And to show you how these work, I've actually got a very simple project set up here. I've got 2 tracks within here. I've got a drum beat going on here from the standard 909 core kit within Ableton. And then I've got an organ line coming from the Tal Uno LX, one of my favorite synths. Now let's focus first on the drums and use one of my favorite plugins in this pack, the Dirt plugin. Now this works so well just by adding some extra kind of grit, some dirt to your drums, your keys, your vocals, whatever you want to put it on. I'm going to turn it off for now just so we can hear the drum beat before we put this on. And let's turn this on. Even straight out of the box, it just adds that kind of real grittiness to it. And I kind of love that. That's kind of one of the sound of my tracks, that kind of dirtiness almost. Now there's a whole load of good stuff built into here. And as I mentioned before, this is just a collection of all the kind of presets, all the settings that really work on my tracks. So within here, we have a saturator, we have a compressor in here, we have some vinyl noise, and we also have a drum bus. Now, if I take all of these back to naught, we can hear that it sounds pretty much like the drum beat started when I didn't have this on at all. And what I can do is I can add some saturation in there, for example. And then we also have some compression in here. So this is parallel compression. The more we add within here, the more wet signal we get. Then we have the vinyl drive and gain. This just gives us a little bit of grittiness. And then finally we have the drum bus, which just gives us a little bit of punch. And if we toggle it on and off, we can really hear the difference. Next up, we have the multi-filter. Now this is a really kind of clever utility that I find myself reaching for quite a bit, because when I am actually automating on a track, I will probably automate the low pass and high pass of a certain track. Now that means putting 2 auto filters on a track and then automating them separately. But with this multi-filter, we actually have a low pass and a high pass built into this. And then we also have some reverb built in there as well, just for those breakdowns. It's just a really simple way to build in a low pass and a high pass onto any track. You also have options there for the LFO amount and the rate. And if you want to go in there and tweak it a little bit more, then of course you can open up the devices and just tweak either the high pass or the low pass within there. It's just meant to be set up in a very simple and easy way, just so you can slam it on a track and start using it. Now let's move on to the minor chord, and we're going to use this on the organ instrument here. Now this is basically a monster of a MIDI effect rack that has a whole lot of great stuff in here to instantly be able to give you chords and different variations on those chords. I'm going to turn this off for the moment and let's hear what this sounds like with nothing on it, so without the minor chord on it. So we just got a very simple single note being played on D. And if I enable minor chorder, you can hear it instantly adds chords. Now there's a whole load of different elements to this, and I'm going to take this one by one. And the best thing is if we open up the info window here, we can actually see more information about every single control. So the first control in here is chord type, and the minor chorder actually contains all the chords that I use regularly within my tracks. So we have the minor 7th, the minor 9th, the minor 11th, and the minor 13th. And then we've also got inversions chucked in there as well. And you can select them all from this chord type knob. Now the default is 7, and that's actually the magic chord. It's just a silly name for a chord, and I'm not actually quite sure what it is, but I know it's a minor 9th inverted in some way, and it just sounds great. So we can select between the different chords just by turning this knob. Now we can hear that it's playing quite low, so I'm actually going to use one of the utilities within here and turn up the pitch. So you can see on this knob here that we can actually turn up the pitch. At the moment it's set as 3, which 3, as you can see in the info window on the left hand side, means no change. But if I put it up to 4, this actually puts it up plus 12 semitones, so it's actually moving it up 1 octave. So as you can see, it's just really easy to move it up 1 octave if you find your chords are being played too low. Okay, so next up, let's have a look at the bass note control. Now by default, this is actually turned off, but if I set it to 1 or 2, it'll actually add another note within there, an extra bass note at either minus 12 semitones or minus 24 semitones. So with it turned off, it sounds like this. And then if I set it to 1, which is minus 12 semitones, we can hear that extra bass note in there. And if I set it to 2, it goes down to minus 24 semitones. And finally, we have a scale plugin in here because I just find it very, very handy and I use it all the time. And you can turn it off and on using this control here. 0 is off and then 1 is on. So this will now activate the scale plugin within the minor chorder. And of course, it's in the minor scale. And we can set the key that it's in from this bass control here. So at the moment, it's in C minor, and I can move it up to D if I wanted to. So as you can see, it's really, really handy. And if you want to see what it does, I've actually set up a channel here so we can record the MIDI notes coming in and you can see exactly what it's producing. So the minor chorder basically allows me to get to all of the settings that I use all the time very, very easily and very quickly, just means I'm so much quicker in coming up with ideas because everything is kind of grouped together in the one effects rack, and everything that I would normally use is in here. And finally, let's get this multi-filter on here and try it out on the organ. And now I can show you how the LFO works as well. So the LFO really just allows you to modulate that low pass just to give some movement to whatever you put it on. It works really well, putting in very subtle amounts. So if you want to get hold of those 3 brand new presets for Ableton that I've developed, and a whole load more coming in the next few weeks and months, then head over to my brand new Patreon page. Now, if you've not heard of Patreon before, it's basically a way for you to be able to support your favorite creator. And in this case, it's me and this channel. So if you like the videos that I produce on this channel, then please consider backing me on Patreon. There's actually 3 different levels on there. The first is the supporter level, and this basically shows your appreciation for the content that I put out on this channel. The second one is all about the live stream Q&A. Once a month, I'll be doing a special Q&A just for my Patreon supporters. So if you pick this level, you'll be included on that and you'll be able to ask me any questions that you want to about different techniques or anything else you want to know. And finally, the third level is all the good stuff. This is all of my downloads. So my presets, my templates, anything else that I make on this channel, it's all going to go into that tier and you'll be able to download that from there. Plus, you'll also be included on all of the Q&A live streams. So I'm going to put a link in the description and at the top of the video. So if you appreciate the work that I put into this channel, if you're loving the videos, then definitely consider backing me on Patreon. As I say, link down there and a link up there if you want to show that love. And hopefully I'll see you again in the next video.